Radical.
I got some bad news to report for all my Canadian brothers and sisters. You know who you are. There is some pricing changes happening for the Nintendo Switch. Actually, no, not the Switch 2. I'm talking about the OG, the original Switch. The Switch that came out in 2017. This is the official news from Nintendo of Canada. Pricing for the original Nintendo Switch family of systems and products in Canada will change based on market conditions. These include Nintendo Switch OLED, Nintendo Switch Regular, Nintendo Switch Lite, physical and digital Nintendo Switch games, Nintendo Switch accessories, other Nintendo products including Amiibos, and Nintendo Switch online memberships. Will also experience price changes. Please note this pricing change does not apply to the Nintendo Switch 2 system accessories or software. Pricing information specific to the Canadian market will be shared at Nintendo.com Canadian store on 8/1. So here's the good news, right? It's the end of June right now. We're going to get through July, and the pricing information is going to be listed the 1st of August. So that leads me to believe these prices haven't taken effect already. So, if you're a person that was not really interested at all in the Nintendo Switch 2, there's many people that were not all that interested in the PlayStation 5. They said, fuck it, I'm just getting me a PlayStation 4 because most all the good games were on the PlayStation 4. The 5, they didn't really see a whole lot of value in it as far as games that they needed for a PlayStation 5. Similarly, sorry I didn't nail that one. Same thing with the Series X. A lot of people were just going to get an Xbox One. This has to be the shittiest generation when it comes to exclusive games. Hard to believe we're already half a decade into this generation of Xbox, PlayStation 5. I know it's unrelated, but just wanted to mention that too. The Nintendo Switch, however, had a pretty good, I'd say, great library. Compared to the Wii U that came before it, the original Switch has a lot of games on it. So maybe there's some people that were just kind of coming around saying like, you know what, I got maybe 300 I want to put down on a Switch 1 and screw the Switch 2. I don't really care about that right now, paying $80 for those games. Or maybe they're just completely against the Switch 2 and they want to pick up a Switch 1 and play a huge library of games and not fuck with those stupid-ass key cards that Nintendo's trying to run out with the Switch 2. A lot of reasons I could see people want to just get a Switch 1, rock with that one for a while, and not even care about the Switch 2. This is pretty shitty because if you're in Canada, and who knows how long it's going to be until possibly this pricing comes to the States, if you're in Canada, you've already had to pay, or if you're thinking about it, you have to pay, let's see, damn it, I had it, okay, yeah, Switch 2, the system would be $630 and $700 for the Switch 2 bundle. So you're paying $200 over if you wanted a Mario World bundle. That's insane. Speaking of Mario World, by the way, I'm not going to make a separate upload, but a lot of people are review bombing Mario Kart World because they're doing something with intermissions. Have you heard about this? They're doing something with intermissions, and it's pissing people off royally. And for some people, it's making the game just completely not fun anymore online. So that's a great strategy there, Nintendo. Pissing people off right after they get Mario Kart World. But you figure, hell, we already sold so many copies of it. That's the game everyone got with their Switch 2. Now it's time to fuck them over, I guess, and change the online game around. Because if you're not playing that game online, I don't know if you're going to get that extended value of it. Right? $80 to play the kart racing game? Unless you got a lot of people around the house and you like playing on the carts every day, You better damn sure that you play that game every day to get your $80 worth. But yeah, back to this about the pricing and what I think about it. What the fuck is this about? This is craziness, man. This is craziness because usually what happens is when things are out for a long time, and the Switch has now been out since 2017, a long time, over time, things lower in price. With Nintendo, usually not the case. Nintendo systems historically they've not ever really lowered in price, past I think maybe the GameCube that became $99.99 before it was on its way out, but that was not a super popular system. Hence why the GameCube is pretty sought after, and its games are really sought after right now because unlike the Wii that came after it, it wasn't super popular. The Switch was super popular. They sold a lot of the Switch. So at this point, the Switch, wouldn't you say, should be rocking around like maybe $100 to $200? Wouldn't that bring a lot of goodwill back for Nintendo? If a lot of people are worried about the pricing of their Switch 2, they could just say, hey, we get it, we understand a lot of people can't afford the Switch 2 in this economy, but how about this? We're going to drop the prices of the Nintendo Switch 1. We're going to drop these prices for a lot of you, and then you could get your Switch on, just not with the new one. This is not only a slap in the face, but a backhand also. It's a double slap. A slap and a back. And a backhanded slap to the Canadian brothers and sisters. I feel pain. I feel your pain. Well, I can't feel your pain because I have to pay those prices, but I'm trying to understand the situation that you Canadians are in right now. It's shitty in the States to be a game collector or to be really into video games and buying them, but it's that much worse in Canada right now when it comes to the Switch 2. Could you imagine having to pay already $700 to get a Switch, and let's say you wanted to get like an OLED Switch 1, because these cheap bastards at Nintendo, or these greedy bastards, they didn't even put an OLED on the new expensive system. So if you want to even play on a nice OLED screen, you got to get an old Switch. Or maybe you want to get a Switch 2 to just play Mario Kart World, maybe the Donkey Kong Bonanza, and you want to get you a regular Switch or original Switch for whatever reason. Or you getting it for maybe like, a relative or something like that. I want to get this news out, and I hope a lot of people are getting this news out right now to let people know. One last thing is this is your time to get an original Switch 1. And there's a lot of game collectors out there, a lot of Nintendo collectors specifically, that also might want to, maybe they have never had an original Switch. They want to get an original Switch to put beside their Switch 2. So if you want to get a Switch, you got probably a month to do it before Nintendo raises the prices. Again, this is just insane. That would be like a car company coming out and saying, okay, the 2024 model of this, we're going to go ahead and raise the price on this right now due to market conditions. Okay, we're going to keep the 2025 the same, but we're going to raise the price of it. Actually, now I mention that might be going on right now. These market price adjustments because of the market. One final thing about this, I wonder if this has anything to do with the uncertainty in the market because the U.S. and Canada, they are, I don't know, in a bit of like a little bit of a trade war or having words or some shit. I don't know. One thing this is the finishing statement I will make is, when it comes to trade wars, getting in trade wars with other countries, the number one person who gets fucked over royally in that is not the people, the countries that are going back and forth. It's the people that live in the countries that have to pay the exorbitant prices because mommy and daddy, they can't play nice. And they go back and forth because one side thinks the other side's fucking them over. But who's really getting fucked over here when it comes to tariffs, who really gets fucked over is the people that actually just want to buy some things. So you add this to the inflation, you add this to everything else going on. It's just a sad, sad time for those that want to actually make the most out of their money. The best way to make the most out of your money and to send a message to Nintendo is possibly not to get a Switch 2, not to even get a Switch 1. Not brand new, is to just rock your backlog of Nintendo games. I saw one comment, I promise this will be the last thing I mention. I saw one comment saying, Nintendo truly, truly underestimates the power and the depth of my Nintendo backlog.